What's up, nerds, and welcome to a fun theory video. Disney's Frozen was the biggest deal that Disney had pumped out for a while back when it first hit theaters. One of the biggest things about it at the time was Hans's heel turn at the end of the movie. Not only was this Disney breaking their own traditions, but it came so hard out of nowhere that some people call it lazy writing. But I disagree. I've watched the movie a few times with a specific focus on Hans himself now, and I think I've got a solid idea on how his brain works. That being said, disclaimer, I am not a psychologist. I have extremely minimal psychology education at the earliest college level, and that is it. But as a fan of Persona games, I also have some understanding of how cognition can be perceived, so please understand when I say that I am making assumptions and educated guesses based on my limited understanding of human psychology. Even so, I believe I have cracked every mystery and question about Hans and his cover throughout the whole first movie, so let's get right into it. So, where to start? Honestly, the best place to start is at the end, specifically right when he reveals himself to a freezing Anna. To quote the prince himself, he tells her, "As 13th in line in my own kingdom, I didn't stand a chance. I knew I would have to marry into the throne somewhere. As heir, Elsa was preferable, of course, but no one was getting anywhere with her. But you were so desperate for love, you were willing to marry me just like that. I figured after we married, I would have to stage a little accident for Elsa." He goes on a little more, but this here gives us what we need. His whole reason for being an Arendelle was to sneak his way onto the throne. He knew Elsa would be difficult, if not impossible, but he figured he'd be able to wine and dine Anna after a bit of time. At which point, he'd plan a secret coup and eliminate Elsa so he could stand as king. This is what we know, or can reasonably assume that Hans knows, on his way to the coronation. But it's also worth mentioning what he doesn't know yet. Obviously, he doesn't know that Elsa has ice magic and will accidentally freeze all of Arendelle. But it's not too far out there to assume that he also doesn't know what Elsa and Anna look like yet, as he doesn't apparently recognize Anna at first when they meet at the harbor. It's not until Anna introduces herself that he actually starts to panic. Regardless of which member of the Arendellian royal family she was, he just ran her over with his horse. Depending on their personalities, this one mistake could have ruined his entire plan before it could even start. That's when Anna assures him that he didn't hit Elsa and that it was just her. And this leads us to the smile. The smile, for the uninformed, is the look on Hans's face after Anna leaves and he gets dropped into the water. The smile on his face is so genuine and soft that you could easily be fooled into thinking he actually is falling for her. But I think that smile is actually relief. Not only did Anna not seem to mind in the least about the horse issue, meaning his plans could still move forward, but he found an insecurity in Anna that he could exploit. If you don't know what I mean, it's this. Anna idolizes her sister so much that she disregards herself when in comparison to Elsa. On the surface, this isn't inherently a problem, nothing wrong with admiring your sibling after all, but Hans saw it as something he could use. All he'd have to do is act like Anna is the most important and significant person in his whole world. If he could do that, then it would only be a matter of time before she fell for him and right into his trap. Lucky for him, the party after the coronation permitted a natural opportunity for the two of them to steal each other away. Hans could tell Anna felt a little compared to Elsa, so he used his situation with his 12 older brothers to make it look like he's relating to her. Then, of course, is their musical number where Hans sees his opening and takes it. As you can tell so far, everything has been going perfectly for Hans. Events were moving faster than he probably expected, but that's when Elsa's harsh reaction to their engagement gives him his first obstacle. All things considered, though, Hans probably assumed he'd have to deal with some amount of pushback from Elsa with how quickly this was all happening. If Elsa was just another queen, I'm pretty sure Hans would have arranged something with the Southern Isles, or at least make it look that way, that would allow a political marriage between him and Anna to be a logical and business choice. Unfortunately for Hans, Elsa is not just another queen. She's the Ice Queen, and when she exposes that and the whole of Fjord freezes over, he suddenly finds himself playing a very different game. For the next chunk of the movie, we see Hans tending to the people of the village and defending the royal family from Duke Wesselton's accusations. Not only that, but later at the Ice Palace, Hans has two perfect opportunities that he lets go to waste. First, he stops Elsa from killing Wesselton's men, and he also saves her from being killed by them. Why? If he needs to get rid of Elsa anyways, why help her? Well, I think I've figured it out. Let's tackle these choices in order. Firstly, his offering all the aid he can to the people of Arendelle and defending Elsa and Anna's reputation from Wesselton. This was the easiest to solve. If you're going to take leadership of a people, it's a much easier transition if you already have the favor of a majority of them at least. To Hans's eyes, these acts will help him have support when he inevitably gets Elsa killed later down the line to become king. If the people trust him, they'll never suspect him. Next up is how he handles everything at the Ice Palace. There's actually a couple reasons. The first one being that despite the situation, Elsa is still beloved by her people. If he had returned with news of Elsa being a killer or that she'd been killed, it could easily have caused a major panic among the people, and who knows how this would have affected Hans' efforts going forward. But the most important reason is, he had no idea how to stop the endless winter. Wesselton's men were acting on the assumption that if Elsa died, then the magic would fade and summer would return. We learn in Frozen 2 that this is the case, but in the moment, no one really knows if that'll actually work. There's also a risk that Anna may resent him for failing to save her sister. Right now, Hans needs three things to ensure his rule: Anna in his pocket, the people in his favor, and the return of summer. Without all three of these things, he'd risk failing his primary objective to overthrow the Arendellian throne. He wants Elsa to go down, but it's more convenient for him if she dies after he and Anna are legally married, and he needs it to be in a way that has no risk of being tracked back to him. Elsa dying or getting charged with murder on a rescue mission that he leads would inevitably have people pointing fingers at him. It's when Elsa reveals that she can't undo what she's done that he's stumped on what to do. Elsa couldn't reverse her magic, and Anna was still nowhere to be seen. For all he knew, she could have been mauled by wolves. Without Anna, his plans may as well have been scrapped. If Elsa couldn't fix what she's done, then Arendelle would be worthless to him as a frozen wasteland, and he couldn't just kill Elsa without just cause, lest he incur the wrath of the people he wants to rule. Hans was deadlocked, with no way to win. That is, until Kristoff rides up to the castle gates to deliver a dying Anna. Once she exposes what's happening to her, Hans can practically hear the trumpets of victory. With Anna mere minutes away from death at best, and Elsa being the one who did this to her, he had the perfect way out of this puzzle. He locks the door, leaving Anna to die and too weak to save herself. He tricks the council of dignitaries that he and Anna were wed, while also declaring Elsa a traitor for killing Anna. Hans is put in command of Arendelle and charged Elsa for treason. The only thing he left to chance was whether or not killing Elsa would undo her magic. But with everything else fitting so perfectly into place, it was a risk that he was willing to take. The only reason he failed is because Olaf got Anna out onto the fjord. Otherwise, she would have turned to ice in that room. Elsa would be dead by his hand, and he'd be crowned the king and savior of Arendelle. His reign would have been undisputed, if it hadn't been for that singular snowman. And that is the psychology of Hans. When you watch the movie with his perspective and end goals in mind, Hans actually looks like a brilliant strategist. He's patient, calculating, and able to adapt on the fly. If he had applied his talents differently, he could have been a real, honest hero. And while a lot of people see him as evil, that's not actually true. Hans isn't evil, rather, he's political. Anyone from America would assume those two words are synonymous, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. But Hans only wanted to rule. He didn't necessarily want to rule a dictatorship or anything like that, at least not as far as anyone can glean from his actions in the film. His only problem was that the methods he chose were as antagonistic as they could be. If he had used a different approach, well, who knows? And that's it for this video. What did you think? Was I right, or did I miss something? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your take on the subject. And let me know if you like these kinds of videos, because I already have another one in mind that's been even more fun to work out than this one. Regardless, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Check out my buddy Tyler Crux. He has a lot of fun stuff on his channel. We collab all the time. Catch you later, nerds.